What was the reason? That's the hook right there. You've heard that everything happens for a reason, but have you ever stopped to ask, what's the reason? Because that question can change everything. Most people let things happen to them. They feel it, they react, and they just move on. However, self-reflection is what separates the people who keep repeating the same chapter and the ones who flip the page. I'd like you to think about where you are in that cycle right now, and let's talk about it. So I've come to notice in my life, I'm sure you've experienced this as well, that life will send you the same lesson packaged differently if you haven't learned it, with the purpose being for you to learn the lesson so that you stop repeating the pattern. And you could change certain things, different people, different environment, different circumstances. However, the outcome of the situation still ends up the same. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? A better question is, what is this trying to teach me? What am I supposed to see that I keep missing? So there was a time where I was doing this in a certain situation where I kept putting myself in a certain environment that I should have removed myself from. And I kept going into that environment with an expectation that something different would happen this time. Many different times. And it would be maybe if I wear this, maybe if I talk like that, maybe if I act this way, maybe if I participate in this activity. And the result continued to be the same. Does that sound familiar to you and your situation? And so there was a moment where I set a boundary, which that was new for me as someone who typically leans to being a people pleaser. And when setting the boundary, it felt wrong because it was uncomfortable for me. And I noticed the result still ended up being the same. I didn't set a boundary, I still didn't get what I wanted. I set a boundary and I still didn't get what I wanted. And so in the beginning, I thought, what's the point? But the point was shifting what I was doing. And because of that shift, now things are showing up differently. So I would love for you to think back in your life. Hold on. The issue was never the boundary, the issue was the pattern. So just think in your life, where are there certain patterns, certain things that keep happening again and again, and you think it's bad luck or something like that? It may just actually be a lesson that you just haven't learned yet. And once you recognize the pattern, once you name it, things start to shift. Not immediately, but they do start. And as you start to shift and you make the different choices, then you start to get different results. And so it's that newfound level of awareness. And so obviously it's not magic that's changing the results. It's your self-awareness doing the work. For example, I moved back somewhere where I hadn't lived for close to a decade, maybe somewhere in there. And although it's a similar environment, I was a different person in that environment. And that's what the lesson is intended to do. It doesn't change your circumstances, but it changes who you are in the circumstances. And I want to be clear, self-reflection is not about beating yourself up for what you didn't do sooner. How could I not see it? Any of that. It's about giving yourself the clarity. I need to clean these, but it's about giving yourself the clarity to move forward. So I want to leave you with this question for you to think about, or you can answer in the comments below. What's the one thing that keeps repeating in your life that's trying to teach you something? And as I always say, we do our best and we let God do the rest.